good evening. And I think I met some of you at the last meeting in Massachusetts. I'm actually a resident and own my company in Southborough, Massachusetts. And we, in the last couple of years, rebranded our company. We were CW, 94 we were CW Public Relations, and then we were CW Consulting Group. And I was so frustrated with the fact that it sounded like it was just me when it wasn't. So we changed our name to Weber Media Partners. We've always been a strategic marketing company. And I'm going to take this off because it's limiting my walking around. What we do and what we've always done is help companies achieve their marketing objectives through internet or through interactive marketing. So what I'm going to say here is the tools have changed, but we're still doing the same strategy. We've got new ways to do it. And we did publish our first website in 1994. It was pretty awful. It was a lot of frames and scroll bars and boxes, and pretty much no one could see it because no one had internet in their homes, and if they did, it was dial-up and there were too many pictures on it, so nobody could download it. But, you know, that was a long time ago. And I'm happy to say that tomorrow night we are attending the MyTex Awards at the Boston Copley Hotel, the Marriott, as a finalist for a MyTex Award for a website we built for Boston Harbor Islands in the environmental consciousness category. We're very excited because it puts us on the map where big agencies are almost exclusively finalists for these awards. So that kind of gives you a sense of where we've been. Now, where we are now, I'm going to give you a little picture here. This is a picture of a kind of a holiday event last year. Some of the faces have changed, but we're a fairly small company. Everyone is excepting the two men who are technology guys, all marketers. And what we do is we're passionate. Everyone who works for us is passionate about marketing and passionate about social media. So that's my #1 requirement for anyone, even if they don't have experience. So this is what I want to do is I want to set the stage, and I want you to all raise your hand and say you disagree or add to it, because you're all SEO experts. I'm actually not an SEO expert. I'm a social media. You know, I know a lot about social. I hesitate to use the word expert because everybody has different flavors of knowledge. So SEO, right? We optimize content on the pages of websites to drive traffic, to get good positioning in the search engines. We use keywords and phrases in page content and metadata. And one item that seems to be of particular interest to this group is creating network of links to drive traffic from external sites to your site. Those 3 bullets are my summary of what you guys do. What am I missing? Is there anything else, or is that kind of the closest proximity to the summary? And I'm not trying to in any way belittle it, but I'm going, yes, Jill.
Make the site crawler friendly.
Make the site crawler friendly, like architecture and, yes, okay, good, great. So site maps, that sort of thing. Okay, social media marketing. It's about content as well. It's about optimizing content, so it's starting to sound a lot like SEO, right? But the objectives of social media are to raise awareness about an organization's brand, to engage an audience. So it goes beyond getting them there, or in some cases not even getting them there, but just to engage them in a conversation, and to drive traffic from external sites to your site, or your microsite, or your Facebook page. Okay, so it may not be driving traffic directly to your site, but the goal is to engage the visitor about the brand. And not just the visitor, the specific targeted audience you're trying to reach. And I think that jives with, you know, the objective of SEO, which is not just any visitor, an actual lead, the right visitor, right? So I think that there are a lot of parallels between these. And what I've heard, I did a little survey, some of you gave me some great feedback about how social media can help in specific places like LinkedIn, YouTube. Some people said, how do we engage our audience and where do we do that? Every single one of you could ask me that question and there would be a completely different answer depending on who's the company and who's their audience. Now, there's a gentleman here from the Alumni Association at UConn, and we know we can be 99% sure that every single one of his alumni of a certain age is on Facebook. Now, I say that because I can look at the demographics of Facebook and tell you that 1/13 of the world population is there, and I can tell you what amount of the population is college educated, and I can get down to the specific details of how many UConn alums live in the Hartford area. And I can do that for free without spending any money and with a simple search. That's pretty powerful stuff, right? The first thing you want to know is where's your audience? And that'll help you dictate what your marketing plan looks like, what your SEO plan looks like, what your social media plan looks like. So social media, this is a definition. I've crafted a definition. So many people use different definitions, but essentially social media is creating or enabling content for community participation on the web. That means from blogs, YouTube, vlogs, microblogs, online communities, and the first step is actually not to do anything but watch and learn. So you're monitoring what people are saying. That's the listening part. And then you start to figure out what interests people and build a following from that. And then you figure out how to extend those relationships to beyond a following to taking action. And by establishing the expertise of your client company or your company, and from there building your brand. So this is, this is what every company is trying to do. Essentially, they're trying to sell stuff, right? They're trying to make money. But this is the way it happens when somebody loves Nike. They buy Nikes because they trust the brand, they know the brand, they respect the brand. They're friends, I don't know how many things didn't sell after Tiger Woods' big fiasco, how much brand share Nike lost over that, but everybody thinks of Tiger Woods' swish on his hat, and he, in a major way, affected that brand. And so Nike's probably been spending a lot of energy, and I'm not going to say, I haven't used them as a case study, trying to rebuild that. And so that's how they sell shoes and shirts and everything else. So let's talk about some of the other details around SEO and social media. Generating relevant content on a regular basis. So it's not just content, and it's not just content once. And any of you can, shout out here, but my understanding is that it's not, from an SEO standpoint, it's not just about creating the content, it's about giving the search engine something new to index on a fairly regular basis. Search engine and social media have that in common. SEO and social media. Using keywords and titles and tags and headings is key so that people can find content and so they know whether it's relevant to them. And securing quality, high quality inbound links. Okay, not just links you pay for, but actually links that matter. So it's kind of the richness of the content, not just the content, not just the link, but the richness and it's sort of like the qualified lead, right? Is it the right, are you attracting the right people? And when you write content for a blog, for instance, that helps with the density of keywords and the link popularity, and I'm going to talk about this. Also using microsites. So there are a lot of people who create, how many of you work with landing pages for your, good, okay. So you know the value of having a unique landing page with unique content for a unique campaign. So if there's a pay-per-click campaign, you're driving to a unique offer, right? So every time there's a unique website, it's a unique property. And I just used this analogy. I'm going to use a couple of you have heard tonight. Somebody said, what's the value of, how do I get in the search results with more frequency? And I want you to think about, you're going to the grocery store and you're walking down the cereal aisle. Isn't it astonishing how long that aisle is and how full it is of cereal and how many different kinds of cereal there are? Now, there's probably 3 or 4 companies that make cereal. And the reason, but there's a limited amount of space in that aisle. So the strategy is, how many different types of cereal can General Mills make? How many square feet of shelf space can they get in the cereal aisle? So the more varieties they have, the more space they have, and the more likelihood that you're going to buy one of their cereals. Think about the home page, the first page on Google in search. It's not just about getting on the first page, it's like, how many times can you get on the first page? And how do you do that? By having lots of different varieties. So that's part of what social media is about. It's about not just having one site that's optimized, it's about how many different properties out there can drive people. I'm going to give you some good examples. So a social mention is, and I'm going to give you, for instance, one of the strategies that we use at Weber Media Partners is we go out and I actually read the actual old-fashioned Wall Street Journal every day. It's the only paper I actually read that's paper. But I need to get it off the computer at some point, and there's breakfast, But what I do is I immediately go to the marketplace and the personal journal and I find articles that are relevant. And then I run upstairs to my computer and I find it on Wall Street Journal Online and I plug in my comment as fast as I can. Some people start at midnight because that's when the online journal comes out. It actually is released to the online subscribers at midnight. And if you want to get attention for your comment, you might want to read the journal at midnight and start commenting at 12:03. Because by the time I get there at 8 o'clock in the morning, there's sometimes 100 comments on a subject. Now, what's valuable about that is that when I post a comment on the Wall Street Journal, and I put, and Jill, on your forum you have rules about what your signatures can say. When you post something on the Wall Street Journal, you can put in a signature, a link back to your site. You see where I'm going? I drove 14 hits, I should say, to my blog on a comment I made once. I converted them to subscribers to my blog, and I actually can see where the business is coming from and how it got there and why. Because I talked about social communities, then people would comment back to me, wow, that was really interesting. I can see all the other people who commented on that article. Some of them are my competitors, some of them are my prospects. So not only can I mine the comments on that article, but I'm actually driving leads by commenting and saying, this article about social communities is interesting, but I disagree with this point, or I would add this point to it. And anyone who was at the Natick event 2 months ago will notice I kind of did that at the meeting, sitting in a chair. I said, this is the way we do it at our company. And it's not you don't have to be critical or judgmental. It's more like, well, here's the value I can add. So when somebody writes an article, you can say, I agree with that, that's interesting, and then you can share it. And it almost looks like you wrote the article. Nobody thinks you're trying to take responsibility for writing the article, but what it does is it attaches you to it. So I'm attached to a Wall Street Journal article, and I had something to say about it. And it gives more credibility to me as a social media consultant.